Okay. And the magic machine tells me that I'm live, and time is not on my side. I got to get out of here fairly quickly. But this is a video that I wanted to make. Listen, folks, I'm going to be straight up. I don't have time to mess with not that there's anyone in the live chat, but the live chat is on. If anyone stops by for y'all's freedom of speech and expression and color commentary or whatever, but I'm here. Time is not on my side, and I just need to do what I need to do. Listen, folks, hubris goes before the fall, and it's never too late to do what's right and to make amends. Listen, Shawn Michael Driscoll, aka Shonner, passed away some time ago. We're coming up actually on the anniversary of his passing. I guess August. Oh no, September 1st, 2024. He was born August 31st, 1963. September 1st, 2024 is when he passed. And it was, look, I'm going to get right to it. I see Tim Frey in the live chat. Congratulations. We say praise and hosannas onto you. Thank you for being there. I'm actually going to shut down the comments so I don't see you, so I could just do what I'm here to do. Listen, folks, here's what it is. I'm going to tell you straight up. So Shonner was a curmudgeon, especially if you were on the left. Here's my classic Shonner quote. I won't play with Democrats at my table because a Democrat is someone who, to the one, wants to kill all unborn babies. Now, if you are of a certain kind of right wing persuasion in the great TTRPG culture war, you might say, that's just hyperbolic and that's just him being him. I'll tell you, someone kind of on the rainbow parade, progressive angle of things, Shonner seemed very much to really believe what he was saying when he said shit like that. Rubbed people the wrong way, but showed up in my live chat a couple of times. And I was, stoked when he did. I'm a strange bird. I like people who are just themselves and are totally terminally unique. And he was. And upon his passing, I was saddened by it. But my tribute video was, basically like, yo, this dude passed, but let's be completely honest about the guy. And look, in my headspace, I probably too much editorialized about grognards and, old grognards ending up living alone and judged lifestyle and as if lifestyles need to be judged. And I'm going to be straight up and cut right to the chase. For a bunch of really silly, in retrospect, circumstantial reasons, I allowed myself to be totally convinced that I was Sherlock Holmes reborn and totally new, with absolute inadequate investigation and for no real reason whatsoever, that Shonner had the number 80 after 85 himself. We have to always use these, or we presume, because we've been told we have to speak in this coded language, like we can't say things, that he had taken himself out of the game primarily for, like I said, extremely limited small pieces of circumstantial evidence that led me to believe that I had absolutely Columboed the whole situation. Namely, and it's absolutely completely circumstantial pieces of evidence that I had surmised in retrospect that his videos had taken on a different tenor before his passing, that because he passed approximately, well, actually the day after, or I mean, we don't know when he was found, how much time had elapsed, whatever. Basically, because he passed away on or right after his 61st birthday that, come on, what are the odds? Because his cause of death wasn't explicitly listed in his obituary. Come on, folks, we all know that if your cause of death isn't listed in your obituary, that's only because you died of, you know, yourself or some violent crime or, some sort of horrible misadventure or a drug overdose or, this, or, just, of course, that's not true. And that, oh, like shortly before, he had sent me a DM that said, as my memory serves, was essentially like, you should make videos about Condor DM. But in my mind, I think I imagined it, I turned it into, now it's up to you to make videos about Condor DM. You know what I mean? And and I'll be honest, like, when I make these videos, I make videos stream of consciousness. You know what I mean? I just improvise these videos, but you got to believe and understand that I make many more videos in my head than I actually make. And there are plenty of videos that I run through in my head and go, oh man, that'd be a total blunder. And I clean some stuff up. And there's a lot of shadow boxing videos that I make that don't get made because I realize, oh man, that won't play in, the sticks, or, so I don't know. And I gotta tell you something, folks. I'm happy to say that I've been 3 years or more off of alcohol, but I have other problems that I've not been so clean off of, and I have some other issues with, anger and other problems that affect the way that I see things and the way that I interpret the world around me, and that can make me feel like it's okay to go with my assumptions and like I said, go with, if I finally watched Shonner's last broadcast, and I think I controlled myself and never lied about having watched it. But there are plenty of times, like I said, in my shadow boxing, where I know that I was firm in my assumption that that last video contained some sort of smoking gun final message or note, or that he was inebriated, or something else. Or the truth is so much more terrifying, because the last video that I think was made the night that he passed is, there's one little cough. He's streaming Skyrim to, I think, an audience of nobody. But that's not judgment. That's just, and he seems to be in absolute fine health. And there is no indication that he's saying goodbye to the world, or that he's resolved that this is the last night that he's playing Skyrim, or that there's absolutely no indication to me that I saw that he was in any way, shape, or form thinking for a moment that this was the last night that he was going to be around. And so in retrospect, I look back and I know that I go through phases. I go through phases where I'm angry. I go through phases where I'm not sober off of every substance. I go through phases where I'm not sober off of anger and resentment and being ticked off, especially in today's political climate. So a guy like Shonner can come to represent different things. So I know that if I know that I've spoken and said that it's obvious that he had taken his own life, because come on, he had made the nature of the videos that was making had changed, and he had made this note to me, and all these various other things that have, and of course that he passed away the day after, a man passes away on the day after his birthday. Come on. What are the odds? Well, the odds may be unlikely, but that doesn't mean the odds are impossible. And this note, this DM that he sends me, well, I think a lot of that may have to do with if he sends me this DM, well, then that means that I'm special, right? That means that the great, come on, Shonner had reached out to me, sent me a message. It's now up to you, son. You must take the mantle and go after Condor DM, who's, you know what I mean? When it's just as likely to assume that Shonner was like, oh man, I make videos about Condor DM. This guy, Blueberry Wolfbridge, is also a jerk to people on the internet. You know what I mean? Hey, Blueberry Wolfbridge, you know what I mean? Lend a guy a hand, you know what I mean? You should be a jerk to Condor DM too. You know what I mean? That's just as easily plausible explanation. I know my mind. I know my mind with its, kind of self-obsessional tendencies. It's much more easy for me to resolve it towards he was sending a message, man. He knew he was done. He needed to know that someone would go after Condor. You know what I mean? It's the way my mind works. But when you relax and you are sober and you're breathing and you're doing your meditation practices and you start putting things in perspective and you actually watch the video of the dudes last night on planet Earth, you realize, oh no, there's no farewell note there. The truth is, it's much more terrifying. Also, it might be easier to imagine that the guy took care of himself because then that means, well, you see, he was angry and didn't like people like me and he doesn't like it. But look where it got him. He was so miserable and so upset he wanted to do this. Well, no, then it's also easier to think of it that way because if he took care of himself, well, then that doesn't mean it's not as scary because look, guys, in a couple of days, in exactly 10 days, I turn 50. You know how scary it is to see a man at 61 just sitting there playing Skyrim, knowing you want to talk about a horror movie. I don't get scared by horror movies anymore. I don't. And then it's a Japanese horror movie, and there's this one scene where the guy takes chapsticks and he removes the other guy's testicles and he replaces his eyeballs with the testicles. He replaces the testicles with the eyeballs, and the guy's still alive. And I'm like, I'm saying, you want to see terrifying? You're 50 years old and you're watching a video of a guy who's 61. He's streaming Skyrim. What's so scary about that? You know that man is about to go to sleep. He's never going to wake up again. And for the last year, you've been telling yourself that this guy has not going to wake up again because he's made some sort of life decision to not wake up again on purpose. And you realize, no, he's got no idea what's coming. He has no idea that gotta go. That he says at the end of the video, he has no idea that that's ironic. He doesn't see it coming. That could happen to me. Eyeballs to testicles, eyeballs. That shit doesn't happen. That's not gonna happen. I play Skyrim all the time. Then I gotta go to sleep tonight. That's some scary ass shit. Maybe that's why I want to believe something else had happened. So I owe you an apology, Shonner, whether it's the case that you are somewhere else and can hear this apology, or whether this apology is just some sort of healing that will take place for my benefit or the benefit of those you left behind that called you friend, whether that friendship took place at IRL or online. Make no judgments about it. I'm sorry for those people that I besmirched, saying or implying that had you been real friends with Shonner, you would have been there for him, seeing that he was headed towards some sort of darker place, blah, 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 right? I had no reason to believe that you had done anything. It was hubris to make me put these pieces of conjecture together. As to the videos you were making before your passing, look, dude, I see the videos that were recommended to me that you had made over a period of time. So I have no idea how many videos you made about architecture or art prior to, whenever, if there was a change in your demeanor or attitude, what that change in demeanor or attitude was. It's not for me to say. It's not for my ability to assess. I wasn't in a place to assess it properly. I obviously didn't. And I may very well have specifically spoken untruths about having seen your last video and made comments about what it contained. I don't know if I did or didn't. I make a lot of videos on a daily basis where I just, quite frankly, oftentimes just talk out of my ass. So I may have said things that weren't true. I honestly don't. I don't know, but I'm willing to take L's that I don't deserve and cover my ass when the potential for righting a wrong and when the amends, I think, are this potential. It's potentially this. Look, I know that I said that. Come on, folks, it's obvious that you had done this, and it's not. It's patently not obvious that you did anything. There's no reason for me to think that you didn't just pass away. It's scary for me to think that you just passed away. But now here's the crazy thing. So I'm going to end on this, and then I really got to go because it's time for me to go. But child of the universe, child of God, child of goddess, child of whatever you understood, whatever I understand. Here's what I know. I'll tell you some things, folks. 11 is my magic number. One of my magic numbers, but sincerely, one of the big ones. Okay? Also, for those that are mystically, esoterically inclined, the number 23 will also have a certain amount of resonance. Now I know that Shonner may have eschewed such things and been of a more traditional religious bent. Peace be upon his name. Having said that, before I went live, I just took a look at his obituary and I was just trying to calculate how old he was. He was 61 years and 2 days old at the time of his passing, including the last date he was on planet Earth. I think, these are things. But given the fact that we were both born in the month of August, I was couldn't resist taking a look and seeing what the numbers were between his birthday and my birthday. And folks, at the time that I was born in the year 1975, he was born in 1963. I was born in 1975. And on the day that I arrived on planet Earth, Shonner was exactly 11 years, 11 months, and 23 days old. Expressed another way, he was 143 months old and 23 days old. At the time of his passing, he was 22,283 days old. And my phone is ringing. I got to remember my timing. Got to remember your timing. The last thing that Shonner said on his stream was he commented several times, "Oh, it's getting late." And then he said, "Gotta go." I always thought Shonner was some sort of foreigner, either Irish or Scot. Okay? Because his accent was something I thought he had some sort of accent. Apparently, he was born in California and lived his entire life there. Okay? I have never heard such an accent. I guess I know accents from the East Coast. If he had a Boston accent, I would have recognized it, right? I had never heard such an accent. Maybe his parents were fresh off the boat from somewhere. I don't know. Maybe you've heard this accent. I don't know. Shonner. I had no real reasonable reason to speculate that you had ended your own life. And yet, in hubris, I shot my mouth off many times over the past year, suggesting that you had. I finally came to the realization that I was talking out of my ass. Wherever you are, even if you're nowhere, may I be forgiven. This I pray. And I tell you all, I love you. I love you. Watch what you say. Even if you're not online, think before you act. There's a whole bunch of people out here. Remember, folks, it'll catch you. It'll catch you. There are so many people online. Hey, listen, myself included. I've got to tell you something. You know what I mean? Enjoy the streams while they last. Enjoy the videos while they last. I'm getting ready. I'm telling you something. I'm getting ready. We're all out of here, folks. I'm telling you. Pack it up, pack it in. Because, whew, when I think about the things that I've said, oh, man. People are like, oh, don't worry. We got it all backed up and saved. I'm like, you got it backed up and saved? Okay. They're like, oh, we got backed up. Don't worry. The media won't ever expire. We got backed up and saved on the cloud. Keep on paying those bills. Keep that cloud data saved. You know what I mean? You'll be back making tribute videos to me. And then you'll say, see, CW, this guy, this dude is exposed. They'll be like, what dude? The future, everyone's going to be exposed to everybody. It's like they said, in the future, everyone's going to be famous for 15 minutes. Like, in the future, everyone's going to be canceled. Where'll that get us? Listen, Shonner, baby. Hey, come on. Hey, I'm sorry. Listen, I fucked up, baby. I love you. Okay? I'm sorry. I'm saying I'm sorry. Really. It was Bonersville of me. Really. I'm being sincere. Forgive me. Okay? Blessings unto the Lord. Take care of each other. Take care of yourselves. I'll be back real soon. I love you.